We are now live. Thank you very much for joining us. This is another edition, but a really unique one, of Diana and Scott talk a whole bunch of interesting topics.
How about just Diana and Scott talk and talk and talk?
And talk, yes. So this meeting should be streaming on Facebook Live. This is a very special topic for us. Laura's here as well. She's the magic hand in the background.
And the note taker.
Yes. First off, I want to thank each and every one of you for your help. In the mask. I want to give some updates on that, and I'll follow that at the end. These have been extraordinarily helpful meetings. Is anyone watching live? I'm just going to deal with some technical difficulties, so you bear with me. I just want to make sure if it is working. Home, let's go here, and lovely.
There's only 3 of us.
I know. Yeah, Jesus, here we go again. I cannot believe this. It is not, it says it's live on Facebook, but it's not showing.
But is it showing your Zoom room?
No, it isn't. So hi, how are you? Who do we have joining us? I'm gonna let some people.
Neil.
Who?
That's Neil.
Neil.
Oh, Neil. How are you, Neil? Neil, I have to unmute you. I'm learning this. Okay, so if you're gonna.
Hi.
Oh, good. All right. So why don't you guys, while I figure out these technical difficulties, can we go around the room, introduce yourself, and talk a little bit about tonight's topic, and I'll be right back.
Well, I'm Scott's mother-in-law. I'm the wicked. And I don't know, he conned me into doing this. And I'm not sure about the topic tonight because I don't know about medical anything.
Okay, so good news. We have 11 people watching on Facebook Live. Congratulations to ourselves for finally getting this dialed in. Every time we have technical difficulties, but I'm not. So Sarah, you're a repeat speaker here. So, Sarah, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself as well?
So I work for a product development company that works with SCOTTeVEST. We design and produce a bunch of the vests, jackets, and we're working on the gaiters and now some packing cubes and cubes for medical needs. So.
And you guys have done an amazing job and enabling us to really take SCOTTeVEST to the next level, and I really appreciate that. A lot of these things are all as a result of Sarah's passion for helping us take the brand to the next level. I really appreciate that. Neil, you're up.
Hi, my name is Neil Dunwoody. I am a wound, ostomy, and continence nurse based here in Vancouver, Canada. I did my training in Atlanta, Georgia, and I've been a nurse for the past 23 years. And I work with patients primarily who have medical needs, and specifically regarding those who have to have an ostomy, so colostomy, ileostomy, urostomy, so different ones. And I also work with diabetic patients. And a number of my patients who I refer to your website have bought items to help store the medical supplies.
That is awesome. A few more people are joining. I mean, this is, hi Spud Hilton. He can't hear me quite yet. Hi Spencer, good to see you as well. So this is a topic near and dear to my heart. It's just, we're just getting started here. I'm proud to say that this is the first time ever without real technical difficulties. I'm kind of amazed at myself. So
Power probably go out.
yeah, the power. I have to unmute people when you join. I'm going to unmute. So I've asked to unmute. Spud, I can't hear you. You want to say hi?
Can you hear me now?
We can hear
Yes.
you now.
All right.
Good to see you again. How
Yeah.
you been?
I'm sorry I've missed a few of these because we were on the road going up to Southern Oregon for a little bit. But I can be here for, I guess, the entire thing today.
All right, well, stay as long as you find it enjoyable. Make sure we talk about that. Laura, can you come in and?
Yes.
Say hi. All right. And what's your role?
I'm the note taker. With Ted.
And the hand that comes
And the
in.
hand.
I always figured she was the brains of the organization. So,
The term I use is Scott handler.
Oh, I like that.
And the world didn't think we could have one. I want to say I'm not as red as I look. It's the light. And,
Another reason I stay off camera here because of the lighting.
yeah, it's really bad.
Hi, Sabrina.
I'll be right back.
So if I can do a quick intro, then I'm gonna
Only if you go on camera.
Okay, and
If
then
you-
I'll let you do your long
Thank you
intro.
for
So as Neil was saying, as a nurse who has referred several patients to us, over the years, we have just found out anecdotally that a lot of people use our products to carry medical devices, pills, and other things. The clothing as designed does work, but this is the first time, because we were working on these modular pockets, that we said we could actually brainstorm with people and come up with features specifically for those purposes. So Scott's going to give the long intro because he's got some good stories, and then Sarah's going to show some things that we've come up with related specifically for type 1 diabetes and insulin-dependent people. And we're hoping Neil has some ideas, and anyone else out in the audience who's going to can give us some input before we actually start making these. And here comes the long intro.
All right, so I want to thank everyone again for attending, and anyone who has something to say, there's a raise your hand thing, or just freaking interrupt me because I'm going to babble for a little bit. I would like 3 to 5 minutes to tee this up because this is a topic that is so near and dear to my heart because of the impact that it's had on me. Candidly, a bit emotionally, to be honest with you. So I'm just trying to. Am I spotlighted or here? Hold on a second.
You are.
Yes, you are.
Okay, good. All right. So here's the deal. In the course of the 20-year history of SCOTTeVEST, there are only a few moments, 10, 12, that really, really, really stand out. And one of them, it relates to this market that we're talking about here, and that's medical devices. Frankly, since the inception of SCOTTeVEST 20 years ago, I am finding documentation and market research on all the various micro-targeted groups that we are relevant to. And I'm finding documents 20 years old that said people with type 1 diabetes have a special need for your products. And various other medical groups. And so I candidly, with everything going on in the tech market, it was just never a real focus for me until one day in New York City at a fan event. And after meeting with all the fans, I went back and had dinner with a group of my friends. It was a very private dinner. Spencer was there. It was in New York. He wasn't at the dinner, but he was at the event.
Yes, you didn't make a cut.
What, it was 4 people at the table. It was Peter Shankman, Jeff Hazlett, and one other gentleman whose name escapes me. But it was an intimate group that I didn't set up and I was included in. So in any event, I'm sitting there at the dinner table, and this gentleman comes over and in a wheelchair. And he says, I really hate to interrupt you, Scott, but you need to hear this story. You have fundamentally impacted my life. I have a medical device and a condition that is frankly debilitating insofar as wherever I go, I'm burdened with this device. And it makes me feel awkward and odd. And until I discovered your clothing, I swear to God, this isn't verbatim, but this is how it was perceived. And there were 3 other people at the table, and it was so heartfelt. He says, until I discovered the SCOTTeVEST, I had to find ways to carry my stuff. And after discovering your solution, which wasn't even designed specifically for this, it's made my life so much better. And he looked at me with such emotion. And in full circle, 10 years, this is 20 years of SCOTTeVEST. This stands out as the highest moment that I had, that I could impact one person to such a degree. So then, just by happenstance, someone comes into our store about 6 weeks ago, maybe. And they happen to serve on the board of a very significant charity that you all would know, but I'm not going to mention names because it's premature. But she said, this is perfect. I can make introductions in order for you guys to work together to expose your brand to this market in a meaningful fashion, so you can change lives and donate a not insignificant sum of money for this purpose. So wheels started moving and churning fast and furiously, and multiple calls and designs and discussions, and we landed here. I think how'd I do? Does anyone want
I'm gonna
to?
just throw in a little bit more. So at the time we were designing.
Yeah, you have, when you talk,
You have to come in.
So at the time we were designing what we were calling kind of pockets to go, which are essentially modular pockets that would work with your SCOTTeVEST products.
Which, by the way, was inspired by one of these meetings. I forgot who it was. It was one of the early travel ones. He came up with this Dale, and he's like pulling out, and I thought it was the dumbest idea in the world. And then we started talking it through, and thank you, Dale. Yeah, Diana loved it.
Yeah.
So these meetings are really, really helpful. Go ahead.
So they were essentially modular pockets because we all put a lot of things in our pockets, but this way it was something you could remove. You might set it up for a trip or just a day out. There are people, if you wear contact lenses, I know I do, I always have to have extras because we live in like a crazy, dry, smoky climate. Smoky right now from thank you, California. But I carry a lot of stuff that I may not want loose in my pockets. So then when we were talking to Claudia about medical needs, we're like, well, we're working on this anyway. So how can we adapt it? And so that was
so this is the combination, the subject matter of this meeting. And by the way, Spud, I just need to just say this right there. Cheers. There we go.
And we just
It's happy hour, man.
adapted for tailgating.
Yes. So at this point, I could turn this into a freaking monologue, and that's not fair, and that's not my intent. I want to open up the floor to if Sarah wants to share some designs, if we want to hold up some designs, if you want to ask, some of my goals here are how can we address this market? And I hate to talk about it in that fashion as a business proposition, but I want to be really hypersensitive to how best to present this idea to the world as an organic, world. I think that this market, no one is designing clothing saying, please wear for medical devices. And I think it's a unique, marketing message. To us, it's meaningful because it's the highest and best honor of my clothing for the people who have the highest need to carry things that their life depends on, and they rely on a SCOTTeVEST to do so. And if someone thinks, I don't want to buy a medical garment as a result, that's fine. I think it's going to turn around like people want to buy construction clothing, Carhartt, because it's the best durable clothing. We make the highest functional clothing, so I think it's relevant.
But
All right.
Also, and I'm not going to jump on the camera again, you can hear me from here. Something that we may have designed as a waterproof pouch that if you were carrying sunscreen, if it opened up, it wouldn't leak all over. What we want to know is, are there things we should do to that design that we were thinking kind of for that reason, which now obviously could also work for hand sanitizer, that would work for a medical device that we're not aware of by simply adding an opening or a zipper at the top or the side. So if anyone has input like that, we'd find that exceptionally helpful. And then I think Sarah also, if you could show kind of a panel that is taking ideas about how to carry insulin and testing pens and all that, where we just actually put together kind of a sample.
So for those of you who don't know, and I promise I'm gonna, and I see Spencer's got his hand up, I appreciate that. I've unmuted some people if you wanna add. Neil, can you talk about the specifics of what these devices are like? Hold one up or reference it in some fashion. Oh, you're muted, hold on. I've asked, you have to unmute yourself.
Yeah. I'm going to step out of frame for a second because I did grab some things to show you.
All right. So it's amazing. Our products are uniquely qualified because we designed the personal area network with the idea of attaching things to each other. Batteries, headphones, and medical devices, candidly, is in the patent and intended. So this is related to how you can put a device here, put something through a hole in the pocket, attach it to your body or a battery, and there we go. Hold on, there you go, Neil Pinbitty. All right, it's all you. You have the stage.
Okay, so when a person has to wear an ostomy, so it can be a large bowel or the colon, which is a colostomy, a small intestine is called an ileostomy, and a urinary version is called the urostomy, but I'll just call them ostomies for short. So a person may be wearing a pouch like this, and there are a few different versions out there. I'm going to show you a two-piece version like that. And when a person is leaving their home, we do ask them that they should always carry a spare pouch with them. And, that can be quite challenging because the companies that make these products, they may have like these little bags like this. This is one company. This is another company, and I have seen my patients walk around with these, and it's not the most convenient thing. There's also using small backpacks, larger purses, but there's really not anything which is designed specifically for a person who needs to carry an ostomy supplies, because it is not just the bag that they're carrying, not these. This is a usual sort of collection a person would carry. They would be carrying dry paper towels or wipes, wet paper towels, and a whole list of accessories. This is an ostomy ring, a skin protectant spray, a remover spray,
Oh my God.
powder,
Wow.
tape, another accessories including gloves, garbage bag, and also scissors. I have scissors.
How many people are impacted by these sorts of ailments on a regular basis?
In the U.S., the last stats were about 1 million people.
Total woman.
And in Canada, it's about roughly 1/10 of that.
No. Keep going.
So
I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt.
no worries. So there have been things like adaptive clothing. And for a person with an ostomy, depending where the ostomy is made on their abdomen, it can be below the belly button, above the belly button, and it can sometimes show through the clothing. So sometimes companies will make adaptive clothing to hide the ostomy pouch. Now, one thing a client of mine showed me, which I thought was brilliant, was he actually had a long-waisted business type shirt. And what he did was, it was just a button-up. And all I did, if I'll just show you in relation to me, is he had a pouch on the inside which actually just tucked in, and it helped keep the pouch from showing. It helps stop it from flapping around. And I thought this was brilliant, but no one was doing something like that. It was just something that his wife put together. Another concern that we do get with individuals is not just bringing the supplies with them, but also the type of clothing that they're wearing may not allow the pouch to work as well, or there may be a large bulge. So there can be pants which are made, which are high-waisted, but I have seen some individuals make their own pants, which they can actually tuck their ostomy into, and that actually helps flatten out the profile, and it makes an easier way for them to manage. So when they bend over, the pouch is not going to kind of come away from the body like that. Also, I deal with a lot of athletes who are often on the go, and they're looking for clothing that they can wear, which will help support and hide their pouch at the same time. But one of the biggest things it is the carrying of ostomy supplies. This is the most common thing that I ever get from my clients. I don't like carrying one of these accessory bags. I don't like carrying a backpack. I would just like to be out with my family or my friends, just, without having to carry anything in my hand. And, step into a washroom or anywhere else where I can change the pouch if I need to, because there's always a chance, despite best precautions, that person may have a pouch which might need to be changed. Typically, it can be something for leaking, or the pouch is pulling away for whatever reason. But it is a common concern for my patients.
So Neil, that was extraordinarily helpful, and that explains a great deal. I was unaware of the specifics. Can we send you some of our clothing in your size so that you can confirm if as it exists now, if it services those needs?
Sure. Well, this is my old SCOTTeVEST. This is 10 years old.
That's the problem with our stuff. It lasts too long.
And it has gotten a little bit faded, but even with my traveling, I still keep it with me. I only carry carry-on bags. I spent 2 months with this jacket in Europe with my family 8 years ago with a small carry-on bag, and that's all I needed.
That's awesome.
But will it work with the medical devices in its current existence?
I was able to stick nearly 2 months worth of supplies into this jacket.
Oh, all right, there you go.
But I did want to ask, so with the typical supplies someone is carrying, and you showed all of those things, would it be best to have them in separate compartments? Are there certain pieces of it? I would assume like the scissors you'd want maybe in an elastic band holding them separately. Are there any details like that that could help us? Like some that are okay to be lumped together, some you need maybe a zipped off sanitary like section or anything like that?
Yes, so you would want to have something like a scissor pocket. Now, most ostomy scissors will have a blunt edge on them. So not going to likely cut, but they can get a little bit pokey onto a person's skin. The second one is potentially a waterproof pocket, because when a person has to change their pouch, their ostomy pouch on the fly, they may not have ready access to garbage, or they do not want to put their used appliance into a public waste because they cannot flush these things down the toilet. So a waterproof pocket where they can actually store a used appliance until they're at the ability to actually put it into a proper disposal. That'd be my second thought.
Well, can I ask about that? We tried to do a waterproof pocket years ago with a trench coat, and it was difficult, to be honest with you.
Well,
I mean,
but that was actually that was the idea with these modulars.
oh, for the modular.
And that was kind of, yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Okay.
So what we were designing initially as kind of a sunscreen pocket,
yeah,
I think would work for that purpose.
But in the clothing itself, we did try to put an actual waterproof pocket in, and it's, my sense was, if it was that important to you, bring a Ziploc bag and put the Ziploc bag in the pocket.
But that's where these modular pockets are replacing the Ziploc bag.
Yeah, and here's where a modular removable pocket may become in handy, because if you have a person who has the like a Ziploc bag or something like that, they are going to be concerned with, is my pouch going to, my used pouch going to leak, which has some urine or stool in it.
Yeah.
But if you look at but if you have a modular pocket, which is waterproof, they can just empty it, they just open it, toss it into the nearest garbage can, and if they can always just wash it afterwards.
Exactly.
So it's basically, you see your point. You're giving them some double protection by giving them this waterproof pocket.
So we've been focused on the what is how do you say ostomies? The current opportunity that is immediately in front of us is relating to type 1 diabetes in particular, but the larger medical device market. Can you help us make introductions to someone at their board, or give me an email so that we can give a percentage of our sales to that organization as well, and market there?
Well, some of the organizations I work with are the OSME Canada Society. I'm just writing an article for them right now related to a completely different topic. I'm also involved with the local OSME associations. I work there as a speaker and presenter sometimes, and also just for a general sort of Q&A. I'm also in private practice as well. So I work with one online supplier here in Canada, and I have colleagues of mine who do work in the States who do something similar. I also have a private practice in terms where I actually see patients, and we actually sell them ostomy supplies and also some accessories. Now, most of the terms of clothing accessories that we use are in terms of ostomy support garments, because those are pretty much used by a good majority of my patients. So actually, I'd say it's probably about 30% of my patients wear these supportive garments. But I work in the public sector, but I also work in private, so I have ties with both.
I'm going to ask you a big, huge ask. Can you and I schedule a follow-up call after this and discuss, to what degree you can work together to make some of those fantastic introductions and improve this product? I mean, I honestly,
absolutely.
I had not expected this level of detail and introductions and abilities in one in this. I'm concerned that the two of us are going to monopolize the entire conversation tonight. So please, Laura,
Yeah,
the follow up. I'm going to say, and there's a product on my website that you have in mind. Let us know and we'll send it. I want to be sure that it works in its current. I know it has the carrying capacity. What I'm interested in is how can it actually function beyond the carrying capacity. And that's what inspired me with the type 1 diabetes issue, is that my understanding is the device will fit here and it will use the personal area network and monitor your skin for.
But I'm going to jump in because, again,
we're talking about
our clothing does work for these, and there are lots of tweaks we can make probably to make them more specifically useful for these purposes. But right now with the modular pockets, it's what can we do? So I do like carrying the supplies. And again, and it's not, well, we want to do adaptations for medical devices. If somebody has like some idea they think is off the wall, like, I had somebody email, like, I always carry 14 pens and I'd like them in separate compartments. There may be something, well,
yes, beyond
that. We
that.
can adapt.
So we have not properly introduced the whole pockets to go concept beyond, we haven't updated people beyond that. Before we do that, Spencer, are you still ready to have a point of view here?
I am, if you're willing to listen. Since you just brought up type 1 diabetes, our daughter, Ellen, is off camera here.
Hi, Ellen.
Hi.
Our daughter has been a type 1 diabetic for approximately two and a half years now. So whereas most kids are walking around and they've got their smartphones and they've got their occasional cameras and what have you, our daughter is carrying roughly this much of various accoutrements.
Come on.
In some capacity.
That does not include the insulin.
That's ridiculous. How old is she?
12.
And she's got to carry that every day, and her life depends on it.
In her SCOTTeVEST, and she loves it because it gives her a profile that doesn't bulge. So she's just like any other kid.
Yep, and that's kind of our whole point.
So
wow.
My thing to the pockets,
yeah.
Something that you can slip an insulated, insulation, because
no, that's part of it.
Actually, so can we interrupt you for a second? Actually, I'm not going to come in because we're going to bring Sarah in. We're going to put Spencer. We're going to put you guys on hold. Sarah, can you show the insert?
Yep, I'm going to bring it up right now.
Because that is the one thing we've talked about is insulation and cold packs.
So can everyone see this?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
So what we have done is we actually have someone in our office who also, is type 1. We also have people who carry EpiPens. So there was a lot of actual collective insight when we looked into this. So what this is an insulated case. And when we looked at research to see what's in the market, a lot of them are really large. And what we did with this was to make it unique and brand on for SCOTTeVEST is that it fits in the hand warmer pocket, right? So it's not bulky, it's insulated, and you're able to easily, discreetly carry it on you without inconvenience. And this is kind of a 3-in-1, so you could use it to how you need it. So you have the main pouch, which is, where you guys can see my mouse, right?
Yeah.
So the main pouch has one zipper pocket on the outside, and then when you open it up, it's insulated. There's going to be a mesh pocket to hold an ice pack that will be included, and then 2 additional mesh pockets with elastic to keep whatever is in there tight. But that's technically, one way to use it, just as that one pouch. And then we've created an insert where the insert has even more pockets. It has a meter pocket, it has a pocket for used needles, a test strip pocket, insulin pen. So it has all the different pockets needed for type 1. So you could technically carry it together as a system. You could take the compartment on its own, or you could take the exterior pouch on its own. And then Laura had a great idea of making a second insert, a little bit more, I think, simpler is what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
That it's ultimately, have even more, ways to use it. And all these inserts fit into the other pockets in your SCOTTeVEST, whether it's the vest or the jackets.
Which has been something I've wondered about for some time. So yeah, you can't necessarily hear it, but my wife is gasping at the diagrams that you presented. A lot of this stuff does look very similar to carrying cases that we've dealt with for our daughter's supplies. And having the ice pack capability is huge. The other thing is that even on its own, in its dedicated state, it certainly would be great for anyone who's dealing with type 1 or even potentially type 2 diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
But for those individuals who are not necessarily diabetes centric, that kind of case could still be used, especially with an insert, to be for tech gear or other miscellany, to help collect and consolidate things, so that when having to either empty a jacket because of washing it or because you are online at an event and you're getting wanted for security, it's easy enough to go ahead and present all contents at once.
Exactly. And you could also get things prepared. You could have 2 of them, have them set up ahead of time so that it's just really easy to swap them in and out.
And this also has the clip. It also has the clip, so you could clip it on to anything as well. And it also has the handle. So also technically take it on the go out of your,
Yeah, it's very versatile.
I will say I have 2 things. One, Scott, thank you, because I've got a almost 13-year-old little girl who puts on your clothes, puts all that in, and doesn't feel different.
And you heard me when I started. Yes, please get in the camera. I want to hear this story.
Thank you. She says.
Bye, Spencer.
It was nice seeing you.
Hold on. I want to take this in, okay? I want to absorb this because this makes me so filled with joy. Start over. I want to start over.
We got her the Chloe jacket, the Chloe bling, when it was on sale.
Mm-hmm.
And she walks the dog with my husband. She goes out with friends with the Chloe, and she just stuffs her pockets to the gills. And she jumps around and she twirls around because she is so excited that she doesn't feel different.
Yep.
So she can just twirl and be like, look, Mom, I've got it all in. I'm bringing the SCOTTeVEST. See you later. And she doesn't have to have a backpack. She doesn't have to have all these things. She just has the jacket, and she can just put the jacket down as she goes. I will make one thing about the design of anything for diabetes, though. These
Whatever.
that's a glucose pen.
Okay.
All right.
And they also have Baximi, which is a nasal spray. If she passes out because of low blood sugar, this saves her life. If you put it in a pocket and it's not like a dedicated pocket that has like, the red cross thing on it that says like, whatever. If she hits the floor, and people know she's diabetic, they're going to be going through a whole boatload of pockets to try to figure out where to get this. So to have a dedicated pocket like in the front that has the symbol on it so she can say,
Or a zipper tag.
or a zipper tag or something that says, you know, type 1 on the zipper tag. Type 1, put that emergency in there so that if she does hit the
Or
floor.
just a medical tag. I don't think you need type 1. I think it,
Yeah, or like a medical tag. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Mhm.
And,
So
and,
this
and
way
have that as a sticker on the bag as well.
Well,
You know,
I was
Sarah,
thinking, what
you know,
if
there-
we-
Yeah.
even like a Velcro one.
yeah, like a
with
little, you can
an
take one
option
off.
that you could put on to identify that you've
Right.
got like life-saving
Brilliant.
supplies in that pouch.
Right, because people aren't going to be looking for pockets.
Yeah.
People are going to be
No.
looking for that visual, oh, look, that's medical. There,
That's a
that's
good
what you
idea.
need.
And in the case of this particular apparatus, it's roughly about 5 to 6 inches by about 1.5 by about 1 inch.
Yeah, but she loves your Chloe. I'll tell you, she loves all of your stuff because
Well,
she can feel the same.
I honestly, like I said, this is what it's all about. I mean, hearing stories like that, and you know, and Spud, I have to unmute you. You raise your hand. Did you raise your hand? Do you want to be unmuted? Yes. All right, Spud, bring it on. All right, you're still muted though. Huh? Talk.
Am I still?
Yeah,
Oh, no. No, I'm good. All right. All right. This is all wonderful. I'm really happy to see this. My dad was a diabetic for, 35, 40 years, had to carry all of his stuff in what was essentially a Merce or, man bag or whatever, it was called all the time, not be without it. He would have loved SCOTTeVEST had he, lived long enough to have had one. The only two questions I have is, and I think she addressed one of these, which was if there's some way to have some form of medical tagging. Some folks have the MedAlert bracelet, and that's fine for sort of an overall general, hey, this person has type 1 diabetes, blah, blah, blah. But if there is some way to do that tagging, whether it's the Velcro or the tag that you guys talked about, I think that would be an excellent idea, just because if that's the goal of who we're selling it to, you want something that doesn't necessarily scream, hey, I've got, this, but that does aid anybody who's trying to help them, because that's an issue. The second thing, and this is it's almost devil's advocate more than anything else, but when you created the case, the diabetic carry case, was there any thought given to if you could almost do the same thing with a pouch instead of an actual case? In other words, is there sort of a flat, you've seen the sort of insulated bags that are essentially flat when they have nothing in them. You zip it open, you put something in them. And the only reason I ask is because the case, which looks awesome, I would definitely use it for other tech because I got a ton of tech that would fit in there.
You see this?
Yes, and I see that. The reason I ask is because the case is always going to have hard edges that show up within a pocket, whereas the pouch is less likely to have that sort of.
Yeah, no, this is so this is our initial prototype. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
No, that was fabric.
This.
That was fabric samples.
Oh, this is a neoprene, version. So it won't have those hard edges and print to the same degree. If that's what you're. What do you think about tile? And all those Bluetooth locator options. Do you think we should have a special compartment for the is this something? Maybe I should ask someone else.
I'll give you my take on tile, real short version, and then somebody else can weigh in. You hear a million success stories with tile and related locators. The problem is that they work best when there's a bunch of other people on the same system. So in other words, you can find your keys if you have a tile on it, if it's somewhere within your house.
Right.
If you dropped your keys 3 blocks away, you're not going to find it unless there's 10 other tile users between here and there
Right.
who have all allowed you to go through their tile information to get to your keys. So I'm not as excited about the tile locators and things like that as some people are. That said, it might be that there's enough technology change now that some form of a GPS locator built into, these jackets would be a good idea.
So, Sarah, will you stop sharing your screen for a moment? Because I think we've been looking at your screen all that time. That's fascinating that you say that, Spud, because that's been my perception of the tile service from beginning to end. I didn't understand the real benefit of it.
Scott, can I weigh in for 1 second?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I will both point out the strength of the tile and the weakness of it. The strength of the tile is it basically will give you a perimeter field. And you can see my wife is currently holding one up because there's one that's kept with the equipment buried inside the current neoprene case that's currently being used.
It's called snowball.
So the tile will establish a perimeter field. If you have the devices set up with a loud enough volume, if something leaves the perimeter field and your smartphone is on you, it will go ahead and sound an alarm. And that's great because in theory, you're still within hearing range. As you break the perimeter, you can stop what you're doing, target where the sound is coming from, find the product or device that you currently no longer have on your person, reclaim it and go on.
And that's absolutely true. I'm sorry if I left that out. You're right.
It's okay. The downside is, what if you're someone like me? Because I had a KeySmart Pro that had the tile built in. I was in a rush to catch a train. The keys fell out of my pocket. They weren't tethered to the key thing on the SCV. And I did not hear any perimeter alarm because it was too focused to try and get to the train. And I tried for weeks after to reclaim it. I could never get a proper targeting of it to find it. So it's really going to be contingent upon the person who gets the tile and how vigilant they are with the technology.
So short answer, long answer. Should we pursue tile for this, or if someone's got a tile key, they'll put it in and figure it out themselves?
I would say both answer is target having a pocket and making whatever you design compatible with tile or some other tracking apparatus. But you do not need to go out of your way to say package it with one or incorporate the tile tech into the product itself.
That makes sense. So we have 6 minutes remaining, and this has gone so quickly, and Diana hasn't even said a word. I haven't given a preview of the mask. I want to open the floor up and see who wants to say something. We have a few minutes to go around. Anything that has not been said. This has been amazing. Neil, your ideas are off the charts. Spud, your input. Spencer, your input. Sarah, yay, thank you.
Yeah, and I've been reading a lot of the comments where people want waterproof, and that is where we kind of started with this modular thing, was all about a waterproof pocket for both the inside and the outside. So just if anybody has specific adaptations they'd like, please let us know.
I remain confused about how to describe the pockets to go concept beyond specific needs like this. So, where it started with whoever brought that pocket to go concept, we're going to have to come back and do a whole other episode. And in fact, as Spencer, we have an episode next week already scheduled. We're liking this format. Spencer, go ahead with your thoughts.
Oh, I didn't even realize I had that up. I'm sorry.
All right.
What I was going to say was the thing that the modular pocket will do stunningly well is, again, potentially fast input and output of any equipment into the garment. If by some chance it's on the verge of going from fall to winter, I've got to take 30 pockets worth of stuff out of one jacket to put into another. One other thing you might want to entertain, as opposed to looking solely at the modular pocket, was to see whether or not you can get any traction on a revised version of the SCV system. Because when you had the old system with the underfleece and the outer shell, people would be pocketing everything into effectively the fleece and maybe the exterior of the outer shell and leaving it at that. But if you can go with an even lighter garment that has pockets on the interior, like a variant on the Tropformer, that could then be inserted into whichever shell you desire, depending upon your desired conditions.
Oh.
You're then having one lightweight garment for basically almost everything. Maybe even have on that a panel for something along the lines of the case or the equivalent of a grid, which I had over here. This is one of the medium-sized ones. The problem with these suckers when putting them into the tablet pockets on your jackets is if I run, the stuff will shift out of the elastic. That's a weakness in this design, which gives you an opportunity to make something better than the grid.
You know, I think we ought to be looking at the grid. If you have
I was thinking
improvements
that.
on how we can outgrid grid, you know, we're the logical company to do so. If you want to get at the top of my inbox, you know, and just put the subject heading grid. I apologize. I'm an idiot. I'm time challenged. For those of you who don't know, I literally have a mental disorder. I can't figure out.
Really?
Play nice,
One
mother-in-law.
thing you have to contribute. That's it. And, you jump in with the really there. Fuck yeah. I love
Okay.
you. All right.
Now
I love
you
you. All right.
behave.
All right, I will. So literally, I apologize. The timer on the video says 57 minutes, but it's really, we have 14 more minutes. And on that note, Diana, what do you have to say?
Well, it's interesting because we do have a member, Laura and I have a member in our family who he and his mother, well, his mother, my cousin, has passed away, but we have a cousin who I think Laura should talk to David a little bit about that, cousin David. And diabetes does run in my family, but so far I've escaped it. The one thing I was thinking about medical is the doctor's coats that they wear around. Remember years ago? We talked about this.
That was one of the very first products that we did because it just made so much sense. We made lab coats and then with tons of pockets, and unfortunately, they were tremendously difficult to move.
I know.
They were very costly. Lab coats are free to doctors. They don't spend any money on them. Neil might have an input here, but we made a lab coat with tons of pockets, and it sold for maybe $100, and no one was willing to buy it.
Actually, I had been waiting to get into medical school before I bought it. Actually had said I was going to go buy it. And basically by the time I got around to getting into medical school, it wasn't there. I was like, I swear SCOTTeVEST made something like this. I thought I was going crazy. Thank you for proving I'm not nuts, Scott.
Thank
I
you.
was hallucinating this. I was like, well, maybe I should sit. I should tell them the idea.
I actually tried to buy one of those jackets, but they're not being sold anymore.
Yep.
We're getting a lot of requests for them right now. We actually
Yep.
gave them away.
Yeah, we donated.
We donated them just to get them off the free. We gave out 200.
Yes.
We're just like literally, we're sick of people. No one. It was a reminder of a failed idea, to be
But
honest.
Well, I think there still is a place for them because I wear a lab coat for some of my work, but what we see a lot of are nurses wearing vests, like the sleeveless vest. Like hospitals will buy them for the staff, at least up here in Canada, and we stuff our pockets full of these things. I wear a pharmacist jacket. It's a shorter sleeve, which is good for my work with my patients. It's a zipper front, and I got it because it had about 8 pockets on it, and I use all those pockets. And if there was something available like that again, like a short vest or a pharmacist sort of short sleeve jacket, I would buy one of those. But a lot of medical staff do wear these like these vests, like similar to what you're already manufacturing.
Hey, Scott, I think
Yep.
both Robert and David had questions. They had their hands up.
Hold on, Robert. Who wants to go first? Robert, I have to unmute you first, and David, I'm going to unmute you. David, you start.
Well, I just put some stuff up on the screen. I think a modular pocket idea is terrific. And what I was suggesting is that if you have a waterproof pouch, you might want to have like a 1 quart size to put toiletries and things in if you're going through TSA that you can just
Mm-hmm.
take out and throw on a counter, you know, on the belt and walk through. The other thing is I have a pacemaker, and I have the Revolution jacket with the magnets. And to be honest, I had to get a tailor to take out the top 2 magnets because it could be a problem with the pacemaker. So I'm just throwing that out.
So that's, can I talk on that? And that's actually interesting because that's true. We thought magnets were super clever when we came out with them years ago. In fact, it was 1,000 years ago for us, 15, 16 years ago. And then I bought a jacket from Spider, I believe, and they started using magnets. I literally got an email from Spider's legal department saying that they are recalling all their jackets that had magnets in them because they were concerned about the legal liabilities of people with pacemakers. And I was like, how did they first know who I am? I didn't tell Spider. I bought it in a retail. It was weird how they made that connection. Then I went through a complete panic. I'm like, I'm a clothier. I'm not making things that are going to kill people. I freaked out. We then put warnings on all of our products, like so obvious. And when you signed out, checked out, I recognized I don't have a medical device. I mean, we went completely overboard, so much to the degree that we had a reseller, I forgot who it was, sold our products, like Brookstone, one of the major ones that have since gone out of business. And we gave them the description. And we said, you have older customers, please parenthetically indicate that if you wear a pacemaker, do not wear this jacket. And they instead said, if you use an iPhone or an iPod, we can damage and then I have emails back and forth of the idiot. So make a long story short, we ultimately came to a conclusion that, you know, people with medical devices should know whether or not magnets are going to impact them. And these magnets are so small, they're not powerful at all. The magnet they use to turn your pacemaker on and off, I forgot, was it Andrew, are so strong, you know, so as I believe there's not much of a risk and you can cut them out. So I apologize for the lengthy, you know, dissertation on magnets and clothing.
It's all right. Right.
But I'm not going to say to you unequivocally, you know, our magnets will not kill you. But
That's all right. I understand. But to be on the safe side, I took them out.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we used to always tell customers, like, you know, if you're not comfortable, take it out.
All right, Robert, I'm going to spotlight you. You ready, Robert? You're on.
Oh, yeah.
We have a blue shirt we're coming out with next week for you.
No, I've had type 1 diabetes for 48 years, and I've used SCOTTeVEST for 10. And of course, I would put them all over the place, my stuff. And for example, the George pockets on the side, if I'm just going out for a quick lunch or something, I'll stick my needle and my bottle of insulin in there. So I'm really enthusiastic about your medical, you know, carry device. And it is important to, like, it's 90 degrees outside, you know, to have that ice pack in there for the insulin, because that'll, you have to keep that insulin cold. That, again, we have to carry all that junk. And like I say, I've been wearing SCOTTeVEST for 10 years. So it would be nice to have a central place to put it all instead of all the different pockets.
Yeah.
Well, our graphic designer has a child with it too, and he's like, you need to be here. I literally looked at my old email. So Patrick or Martha, you know, or Melvin, do you guys have anything to add? We do have just about 7 minutes left.
Can you repeat that?
So,
I'm a type 2 diabetic.
I'm gonna spotlight you. Go ahead, Patrick. Go ahead.
I'm a type 2 diabetic, and this is a reader for a continuous glucose monitor.
Yep.
You know, you see the patch on my arm?
Yeah.
My husband has one of those.
And that might be something that'd be nice to have a pocket for. I put it in my phone, the upper pocket, because I'm always reading.
Does it communicate wirelessly?
Yeah, I put it there, and it gives a reading of what my current glucose is.
So you literally, so it's not connected at all times.
No, this is changed like every 14 days. It just pulls off, and you put another one on.
So are there any other devices or equipment that you need to?
This can also be synced with a smartphone as well, but this is a dedicated reader.
Okay.
And we're like the side seam pocket in a lot of our sportswear. We advise using it that.
Yeah, if you're doing the modular pocket and you have all those other things, these are becoming really popular.
Yeah.
Because it helps really control your diabetes.
Yeah, I mean, Scott,
it used to be wireless. We've seen some with wires, and that's where like the exit holes we had done originally for headphones. We've had people use those to run the cords.
Go ahead, Spud. You're
You're
muted.
muted.
Hold on, you're muted.
The shirt you're wearing, Scott, which I have several of, thank you, would be perfect for that. It's about the same size as that particular glucose reader. And no, I'm not talking about the side pocket. I'm talking about the one up by your chest. Yeah.
Which I'm wearing too.
That would be easy.
No. But it's kind of shocking to me that no one, after all these years, no other clothing manufacturer has put pockets here. I mean, is that shocking to you?
I love that pocket.
I want to marry this pocket.
Laura might object.
Did Laura hear that?
But that pocket was really hard that was one of the most difficult pockets we ever designed. And that's why a lot of clothes don't have it. Because when you look at the inside on the lining, it's not a normal pocket.
No, this was engineered. I mean,
it's
it's anchored here. We went through multiple variations, and this is what sets SCOTTeVEST apart. And you know, even as devices have changed, I'm already evolving because the larger iPhones, because the zipper isn't quite large enough. But the point being, there's a pocket bag here that hangs freely, that doesn't interfere with your body parts without saying the word nipple. There you go. In any event, I mean, this is what we're looking at clothing and engineering in a fashion that no one else is. Martha, you're awfully quiet. Can I spotlight you and let you get a word in?
Well, I just wanted to say I'm an owner of many vests and a couple of coats, and the summer weight vest. This doesn't have to do with medical devices, but especially for women, the two-way zipper is fabulous. And women's hips are in a different place than the men's. So, and I purchased some. You remember you had the hunting coat, the green. Yeah, I got the men's small, and it's not very forgiving. And it's only a one-way zipper. If it could just be the two-way, then it's more comfortable. Especially when you fill up your pockets. Now you've made your hips even bigger. And so that's my one. Now, I have to say, I haven't always had great success with the two-way zipper. If you don't get it just right, you might be stepping out of it because you can't get it to.
All right, so can I, Laura, get in the frame here. All right, this is a perfect conclusion. This was the worst thing we had ever did. I listened to a number of people who had said just that, you got to make two-way zippers. And it just made logical sense to me. We had to make two-way zippers. And we designed the coolest, best vest in the world with all the features. A cool feature is a two-way zipper, which enables you to adjust it in fashions. So we made thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars of two-way zippers. And sure enough, they go out to people and they kept coming back. Because people cannot figure out how to physically connect a two-way zipper because it takes dexterity that most people, including myself, don't have on a regular basis. And you'll call customer service up and you'll say, my zipper is defective. And it costs us.
What typically people would call customer service and say, I have the scissors in my hand, I'm about to cut it off. How do I get this vest off of me? I'm stuck in it. So we had enough of those calls. We finally said, no more.
Never again will we make a two-way zipper.
Because do you have any leftover zippers you can send me?
No.
No, because you really have to, when you go to put it on, if you're not careful, and most of us are always in a hurry, and if you don't hit it perfectly, it gets off. Get stuck. I've got my scissors.
Spud, go ahead.
I know it seems like a ridiculous conclusion, but instead of the two-way zipper, I know exactly what she's talking about.
Yeah.
And what you do is you just put an extra very 6-inch zipper on each side. That if you need the extra space, You just
Yeah.
zip that up a little.
Oh, gun jackets.
It
no.
solves your double jacket,
We
your double
did that
zipper.
on a few
Sarah,
styles.
make a note of that, please.
Yeah.
I mean,
We
he's
did
right
that
about that.
for
We did that for
some- We
guns.
did it for some concealed carry designs we did.
No,
where
but
you
that's a
could reach
brilliant
hole,
idea.
so you could reach a hole.
Scott, to your point, and not to discount the complaints you received, like 4 decades ago, there was a winter jacket brand called Mighty Mac, which all the models had the double zipper on it. I grew up on that, which made the double zipper for me second nature, which is why I'm one of the people like Martha who says it's unfortunately a loss that that particular feature is no longer on your product line.
All right, so we have 1 minute left, and I want to conclude this because I really want to end this on time every time. So first thing, I want to thank everyone for their participation. Please email me personally, Scott Adder. You guys know how to find me in multiple ways with any ideas. Lars made a list of a lot of follow-ups. I want to give a quick demo of the last sample of the mask.
But the new one comes tomorrow.
Sarah, can you bring up drawings for the new one, and I'll share. Get ready to share your screen. But I finally figured out how to wrap it into itself. So this is what it's going to look like, but a lot more refined. Sarah's sharing her screen. So as you can see, we've incorporated all the proposed changes, and we're super excited by it. It's going to be really, 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 really cool. The one thing I found it to be extraordinarily comfortable and really quite good looking. You know, there are a couple of comments that people have about masks. Sarah, you stop sharing your screen.
Stop.
Show myself. So a couple of things. It kind of looks like an ascot. What are the big problems with masks? You go out and you forget you have one. So, I'm making a fashion statement. So in order to put it on, it's just really simple. Take it off, it's that simple. And also to change the filter strength, you just move it around, and now I'm breathing much more freely when I'm beyond 6 feet from someone.
And I will also say, because, California is having horrible fires right
Oh,
now.
yeah.
Which it blows into Idaho. And until 2 days ago, we pretty much couldn't breathe here. So I took one of the samples, had it around my neck, walked outside, I'm sort of on, and, inhaled. The smell of smoke, the taste of smoke. I pulled it up, and I didn't have a filter in the pocket. So it was just the regular fabric. And I could no longer smell the smoke or taste it. So
And I went dirt biking the other weekend. It was hilarious. I was wearing pink SCOTTeVEST sample pants. Sarah, seriously, I went dirt biking. I'm dirt biking. Everyone else is in full metal gear with camelbacks and masks. And I'm in my pink SCOTTeVEST pants because it's the only ones that would fit my fat belly. In any event, and so they need masks too. So this is a post-pandemic mask solution. So with that, any final thoughts? Raise your hand, say it now. Otherwise, hopefully we'll see you next Thursday at 5 o'clock. Yay, bye. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, Laura. Bye, Scotty. Bye.
Bye, Mom.
Bye-bye.